All right, if you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. I still have Dr. Oladipo and Kaidi Ladendi right here with me. So let's move straight to our next conversation. The resurgence of terrorist attacks in the northeast is raising questions among Nigerians. Some retired generals are worried over the development and are seeking ways to curtail it. Reacting to recent attacks in Borno State, Bashir Adewumi blamed the country's porous borders for the inflow of terrorists. He urged the government to tighten security at the borders, stressing that a military solution without a political solution would lead the country nowhere in the fight against insecurity. All right, Dr. The retired generals are talking. What do you make of the comments by the retired generals on the security situation in the country?
I think it's just simply the truth about what is ongoing. And one of the good things about this, unlike the previous issue that we treated, they did not only point out what the issues are, they provided
what can be done,
the solutions to it. And that's the way patriots speak. So that all of us are feeling...
Don't just criticize.
Don't criticize.
Give us a way out.
How can we resolve this? Don't forget, wherever you stay in this country, what is happening up north is affecting everybody.
True.
Especially when we consider the fact that there are certain strategic states in the north, whether in the northwest, the northeast, north central, that supply the other parts of the country with food. So when you look at that, then you have to be a statesman in making comments on this. We've gone over this issue, and then these things keep coming back. Why? Because this is not a conventional war. It is more of a guerrilla war.
Asymmetric.
Where anything can happen. If it's the war between Ukraine and Russia, now you know that someday one bullet will come, this one. But these ones, it's like they just keep multiplying. You are taking one set out, another is coming
Another
up.
comes in.
And so what the generals have said, completely I agree with them. We need to look at how we can combine all systems, whether we are saying it's stick and carrot, it's kinetic, anything. What we want
is just
to have peace in Nigeria.
Stability.
When I was a younger journalist, there was no part of this country that I did not go by road. No part. I know all the statistic states as they are. But I don't see myself traveling outside of the southwest now by road. I enjoy road travels, but you can't do it now because of the way it is. Governments will need to work and work harder. I must commend all the security agencies now involved in this fight. The armed forces, the police, civil defense, all of them, DSS, they are doing quite well. It is only those who don't know the nature of the conflict that we have now that we say those guys are not doing well.
All right, Kaidi, they talked about the porous borders. Even the DHQ just recently talked about the influx of foreign fighters. Now, what should the government be doing to secure the borders? Should we build a wall?
Like Donald Trump?
Exactly.
See, it's important we diagnose the problem before we can come up with this kind of solution that the retired generals are coming up with. So I think we should identify the current issues we are having in the region, the Sahelian regions. You know, when you're talking about the Niger Republic, who told us that they are fighting with us to resist these terrorists.
Exactly.
And we are seeing a combination of not just the military might, we also need the political might. We need to understand that the Joint Task Force is critical, but we must have some kind of political negotiation.
Between
that we
other
disagree
countries,
how your government came into being does not mean we don't have a common enemy called the terrorist. To a large extent, we've not heard much about the Boko Haram stuff. For the purpose of this discussion, I'd like to separate terrorism from banditry, even though we've actually called them terrorists now. But the purpose, we've been dealing with banditry, and you can see the onslaught against Bello Turji and his courts, and we are seeing a whole lot happening. So I feel this is a bit diversionary. This is a bit, go back to the northeast and abandon northwest. There is a heavy concentration on these bandits, In their case, we can't say they are faceless. It's different from the guerrilla one we're talking about. A good number of people know these bandits. They are criminals. They are people who have grown up in the society that they can trace their roots and their origins, unlike the faceless Boko Haram, where we don't know where they come from.
But Kaide, we've been talking about our porous borders for years.
And there's
Nigeria
a
to Cotonou, sometimes some people say you can even go through a bush path. Some states in the north.
Yes, this is part of the diagnosis.
That just demarcates Nigeria.
I agree with you. This is part of the diagnosis.
So,
but my take is, whatever strategies that have been done, that we have a relative calm, especially in Borodu, it's not something we should dismiss. We should give the credit to our military, the governor of the state, because we also see this man, being at the front line of the whole war against these insurgents. And you can see him even, in quote, almost acting like a mini commander-in-chief, saying, track these people, let them face, the consequence of their action. So that political will is there. It just needs to be upscaled. And we must marry it with the security efforts. And also work on that political arrangement with all those people in that region. Because we can't fight it alone. We can't fight it alone. Beyond the borders, let us ensure that however Boko Haram has been decimated in the northeast, there must not be a resurgence in any shape or form.
Now, the retired generals, they raised some issues. They talked about funding. They asked the question that, are we spending correctly on the insurgency? They also talked about, are we being proactive? And finally, they said, are we improving on our successes and how lasting it is? How do you respond to this question?
Well, I'm happy they are retired. And they know what they faced when they were in service.
And they are freer to talk.
Yes, so they can say it now.
Is it a bad idea to even bring them back, to help?
Some of them, yes, they can, but really we have to ask the question, what will they be able to do? Strategy, fine.
Well,
But don't forget that it is not only in the northwest and northeast that Nigeria is doing battle. Even in the south, and southeast, where we're back. So it's like we've established on this program, even the number, just the number of, let's call all of them soldiers that we have, isn't enough to do this battle.
Do you think the military is overstretched?
Very much so. Very much so. And they are doing a good job considering the numbers that we have. It's a number. Because when you look at it, the southeast, we are still doing a lot. In the south, we are doing a battle for the soul of the economy over oil.
Oil theft.
Even in the southwest, infiltration. We have been hearing, we've been talking about this in the last 6 years. If not for the military, those guys, and those guys would have moved from Niger State, which has been established as the largest land mass in Nigeria. So when we really talk about how to police our borders, it becomes a problem. Like you asked, are we going to build walls? If you build walls, can they be scaled? So what?
Who would even pay for it?
Oh, no, do we even have the resources?
Nigeria or the neighboring countries?
Do we even have the resources to do so? And then in the midst of all of this, Burkina Faso is leaving ECOWAS, Mali is leaving, meaning that no more cooperation. And these are the places, especially Mali, where we're having this infiltration. NIS has been talking about monitoring our borders, using choppers and all the rest.
Drones, technology.
Yes, technology. At what cost? Because when we talk about all of these things, we are talking of funding, we are talking of money. Can we really afford all that we need now? And then those things that we even need, are they things you go and pick off the shelf? There are certain things we paid for 2-3 years ago that won't be ready until another 4-5 years. Because you have to pay and wait. So it's a matter of always pointing these things out, like the generals have done. And then we now start working on it. One of the things that came out from this ongoing budget defense was the fact that even the military was happy that the money that was budgeted last year was released. It's one of the luckiest sectors. And that's why I believe that we are seeing these improvements in security. Whether people believe it or not, we are seeing some improvements because those guys are actually coming out forcefully now for you to be bold enough. After, I think it last happened in this manner about 4-5 years ago, and storm a military base.
That's true.
It has not been, meaning that they are also getting better equipped.
Now, still talking about the issue of insecurity. Now, without sounding like a broken record, last week, the Chief of Defense Staff actually came out and reassured Nigerians that security will improve this year. I ask again, are you convinced?
You see, because we are speaking within context, my answer is very clear. It's a yes, within context. Why do I say so? I'm a journalist, and I get stories every second. And I know how many insecurity stories I used to report. Now it has reduced. Somebody will say, what about those people that were killed? They will say, I'm being insensitive. But that's within context. No, we don't deserve to die. Nobody deserves to die, no matter what the figure, whether 1 or 2. We must talk about improvement. And that's why you will not see the president saying that we will stop protecting lives. Everybody must work towards zero attack and everything that is possible. But having said that, it's just to say that a lot has been achieved, especially in the Northeast. And in the Northwest, I must give kudos, even though it may not sound right, for the Minister of Defense and the Minister of State for Defense, for whatever they are doing. I see people, going to the battlefield to say, hey, the president gives them a marching order. I don't want to hear this. Go straight to your state. Go straight to this region. Fish out all these bad elements and get them, So I think what they need from us is more support, more encouragement. I know we are going to go into the issue of the welfare of these people in terms of Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And that's what he has started. How do we motivate these people? How do we give them the backings? As we speak, as I think the last count, about 28 to 29 states are being secured by the military. That should not be their primary job.
Exactly.
Do you understand? So if it is about protecting the integrity of the nation, trust me, this battle would have been easier. But they have to assist the police. They have to assist the civil defense. They have to do a whole lot of stuff for us to even prevent this incursion that he talked about. So it will be very, very unfair to say that these people haven't done well. So I think it's just to tell them that they can do more. Yeah, they can do more, I believe so. All right, let's move straight to our next conversation. As Nigeria marks the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, widows of fallen heroes stated that they are struggling to survive. They lament their living conditions and appeal to the federal and state governments to empower them. They said they saw the Armed Forces Remembrance Day as a painful reminder of their husbands' sacrifices for the country.
Fallen Heroes Association in Gombe, Lagos, Cross River and other states expressed disappointment over abandonment by the federal and state